Consistent self-improvement, everybody. You are now listening to American gypC Podcast. I am your host, Classic, and I'm here with my co-host,
gypC. And today we have Tim Doyle. He is an ordained metaphysical minister, a Reiki Master, a certified Kundalini yoga instructor, Tantra Master, and author of 3 books based on the teaching of the Golden Ones. It's great to have you here, Tim.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to share the teachings of the Golden Ones with you all.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you. So I'd like to start by asking, can you tell us a little bit? We know that, for our listeners, we're in Los Angeles and Tim is in China. And we'd like a little bit about how you ended up in China and where you're from.
Well, I have a very close relationship with my spiritual teachers, the Golden Ones. They are Earth is a spiritual training school, and the Golden Ones are the co-creator gods who are the administrators of the spiritual training school. And so many years ago, roughly, maybe 35, 40 years ago, they start training me without me knowing I was being trained. And I always had this connection in my mind of hearing, I won't say hearing voices, we all hear voices in our minds, but these voices were more direct, more informational. And so like when I was 12 years old and I was afraid of the dark going to bed, I would hear in my mind, just think of something positive, and that would be your focus, and then your conscious mind can only hold one thought at a time. And if you're thinking of something positive, you won't be thinking about anything negative. And so it's just like thoughts like that were teachings that were coming to me at an early age. And then I started to be led to certain books to read and events and desire in my life to become closer to God. So that's when I became a ordained minister, and then a Reiki Master, and then eventually went on to become a Kundalini yoga instructor. And it was, they just guided me to do things. Like I came home one night and from work, and they said, take a trip and visit a shaman. So I got on the internet and I scheduled a trip to go to Peru, visit the shamans, not knowing what was going to happen, not knowing when I got there I was going to drink the ayahuasca, which was a surprise when I got there. But my teachers knew that. And that's sort of like they tell me what to do. So after writing 2 books in 2014 based on their teachings, they told me to sell everything that I had and moved to China. So I had a beautiful home with many beautiful artifacts in it and a car. So I sold everything and packed up 2 suitcases and moved to China. I always trust, when they tell me to do something, I always trust that whatever happens, I'm supposed to do it, and they'll guide, direct, and protect me in my journey. So in May of 2014, I came to China thinking I was going to write my 3rd book based on the teachings of the Golden Ones, the advanced version. And so I came to China in 2014, and I'm here ever since. And what I do in China, I don't do yoga. I'm married in China. I have a beautiful wife that is, I'll explain a little bit later. She's a goddess, because all women are goddesses. They just don't realize they're goddesses.
Yes.
And so I have a beautiful wife that supports my work. But my work in China is because I speak English, the Chinese people want their children to speak English. So I was like begged to teach English to their children. Well, I'm not an English teacher. I wasn't an English teacher. I think I'm an English teacher now because I have all these tools and the pronunciation of English. So I teach English to children, Chinese children, one-on-one on English, speaking and pronouncing English. And I do it one-on-one, ages 5 through 15, just to, not because I have to financially, but just because I guess I enjoy teaching the children. So I'm in China. For whatever reason, my teachers want me to be here. I did write the 3rd book, and I do have a website, www.thepathtowoneness.com, and all the products on the website are free. And there's many products there. The books are free, the teachings are free, the meditations are free, all the guidance there is free. Just my mission, I guess my mission is to spread the teachings of the Golden Ones, which basically assists each person in developing their spiritual connection with God. All right. I guess hopefully you're aware of the Mayan calendar of 21 December 2012. It was supposed to be the end of, everyone thought the end of the world, but it was the end of the Mayan calendar for one phase of the calendar. But what happened then is our solar system ended its journey around the galactic center, which was a journey of 25,920 years. And so when that happened, our solar system, as well as Earth, in this training school, moved into the Golden Age. Once we moved into the Golden Age, there's no reason to die anymore. You don't have to die. Death is a concept that we believe in. And as you know, if you believe in something, you'll manifest it. So what I found my teachings doing now is there's 4 phases to prevent death. One is, of course, keeping the body healthy, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you keep your body free from dis-ease? Well, it's very simple. There's your body is set up into a acidic and an alkaline environment. And if your body goes into an acidic environment, that's where diseases come into the body. Mm-hmm. So if you keep your body in an alkaline environment, which is roughly, I think it's like 7.2, 7.3 ratio between acidic and alkalinity, you'll never get ill. You won't get sick. So, if you feel something's coming on, there's a formula to raise the alkalinity in your body, which is very simple: baking soda and lemon juice. If you take that, if you feel a cold coming on and you feel like you're not feeling well, all you do is drink a half a squeezed lemon and a teaspoon of baking soda and 10 ounces of water. It'll immediately raise the alkalinity in your body and you won't get ill. So there's pH strips you can get at the pharmaceutical store that will tell you what your alkalinity is. And if as long as you keep your alkalinity up, no diseases, no viruses, no colds, no cancer, no tumors can manifest in the body. So that's one thing you do, is you have to keep the body healthy. Next thing you have to do is you have to clean up your light body, which is fears. You have to get rid of fears, which is very simple to do. Fears, unhealthy feelings towards yourself and towards others. Just eliminate them from your consciousness, and that's very easy to do. If you want to know how to do that, we can talk about that.
Yeah, and definitely want to know how to do that. So yeah, we definitely.
Well, if you keep your body healthy, and then you free up the negativity in your what they are. This is gonna sound strange to you.
No, it's not.
But fears are parasites. Fears are parasites. See, when you're created in the image and likeness of God, God doesn't have fears. God doesn't have unhealthy feelings or anything like that. So you have to train your mind to be disciplined in your thinking. And what happens is through our incarnations, from lifetime to lifetimes, we accumulate fears. And we can talk about that, how they get into our subconscious mind and how they get onto our light body, and how to get rid of them. And you can get rid of them as easy as removing a bad picture from your phone. You know, when you go to your phone, you take a bad picture, you just delete it. You can do the same thing with fears. This is not taught. So if either one of you have a fear that you want to get rid of immediately, we can do a demonstration on that if you want to. If not, you can go to my website, and there's on the homepage, there's a little video, 2-minute video that'll explain how to do that. So you need to keep your body healthy, clean your light body, and then protect you from negative energies. And the teachers have given us called a prayer of protection, that once you say this prayer, no negative energy can attach to your body. And we can talk about that too, how negative energy, about how this training school is set up to purposely have negative energy here, because to become a co-creator God, you have to overcome all obstacles in your thinking. And then the last thing you have to do is attune to the frequency, the God frequency in your mind. In our mind, we can entertain, we can think about flowers, colors, animals, food, vegetables, any frequency. There's 1,000 frequencies that can go through your mind that you can just attune to. But there's one frequency, it's the God frequency. And when you attune to the God frequency in your mind, I call it the God frequency, I don't know what else to call it. It's you're always in tune. Your God is always talking to every soul in every moment, but we're not listening. So there's a program. I had to go through this program back in '83 when I was studying to become an Ordain Metaphysical Minister. I had to go through this 28-day program to become conscious of every thought in my mind. And when I did so, if there was a negative thought or a negative feeling, I had to just remove it from my light body. And it's like riding a bicycle. After this 28-day program, once you attune to this God frequency, you're always listening. And you always hear things like, if you say, boy, where did I place my keys? And it's just a rhetorical question you talk to yourself with. You'll hear the answer in your mind, like you put the keys over there, and I go, oh my God, yeah, I remember I put the keys over there. They're always talking to you. They're always helping you. So it's a process of disciplining your thinking and listening. And you can watch a football game and listen to, be tuned to the God frequency at the same time, so that you'll think, well, that's not possible, but it is extremely possible. So we're in the golden age. There's no reason about death. And if you want to discuss in detail anything, we can do that. Now, all my teachings, all the teachings that come to me, I had to experience them. I can't just say, oh, I wrote this, and this is what they told me. No, I had to live everything that is written in the book, and even UFOs, astral travel, out-of-body travel. I call them trapped souls that attach to you. I don't know, a ghost. People think about ghosts, and ghosts are just trapped souls on Earth, and they're trapped, and they'll attach to you either to live as a parasite on your emotions, or for you to assist them in moving to the next level of spiritual development. So anything you want to talk about, we can talk about.
Do you want to start with anything?
I guess, can you start with why we are here in art school and about reincarnation?
Yes, you're here for your love of God. Through we all come from different parts of the star nations. Now, if you think about it, on Earth is, I think they say Earth is about 4 billion, almost 4 billion years old. Where did the elephants come from? Where did the giraffes come from? We don't question where the animals come from. The animals were brought here by different aliens from different star systems. They set up this training school so that we could experience everything in creation. And we do this because we're here to learn wisdom. We come here, before we came here, we never had a conscious mind. We like the animals and the plants and the insects and the other kingdoms, we operated out of the heart of God. We were guided by the heart of God, out of love, just like the animals. It's not instinct. It's the heart of God that guides all the other kingdoms. So before coming to Earth, we were guided also, but we evolved in our own personal star system as being, I would say, the elite. You cannot come here unless you evolve to be the elite of where you come from. The top of I won't say the food chain, the top of the whatever intellectual or spiritual development where you came from, whatever star nation it was. And so when we come here and we volunteer to come here to serve God out of the love for God, we want to show our appreciation and become a co-creator God. Now, co-creator gods, what do? Well, in our current universe that we are aware of, there's billions and billions of galaxies. All these galaxies have billions and billions of stars within the galaxies. Like our Milky Way galaxy, just one galaxy out of maybe 300 or 400 billion galaxies has billions of stars or suns, and each star has planets. Well, they need co-creator gods to rule, to govern these planets. Like the golden ones are administrators of this planet, this training school. They need co-creator gods throughout the universe to assist in the governing of star nations. And so we're here to study out of our love for God, to serve God. We're studying to become co-creator God so that we can serve God in the oneness of creation. We're here. So before we came here, we didn't have a conscious mind. So So we're here to learn how to use the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is how we create, just like God. So we're learning here to become a co-creator God, to use the conscious mind in the creation process in creating our needs. So we're here to basically learn to correctly use the conscious mind in our creations. We know that we can use our conscious mind to develop, to satisfy our sexual or sensual feelings, to indulge in food and other pleasures and activities that are not good for us. And so we're learning to discipline how we use the conscious mind and becoming a co-creator God. God doesn't have any fears. God doesn't have any unhealthy feelings towards self or to others. So we need to discipline ourselves and sort of like migrate into that consciousness of understanding who we are, what our purpose is here, and start working towards disciplining our thinking. So that is why the main reason why we're here.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned that God is always speaking to us, but we don't listen. What are some things people can do to deepen the connection so they can listen better?
Okay. On my website, I have a program called the Ascension Master Program. It's a 28-day program that it's a very simple program. The program is designed to remind you who you are, but the only physical requirement is you put a ring on your finger. And every time your attention is brought to that ring, you stop and you ask yourself, what am I thinking? Because we think 1,000 thoughts all the time, and sometimes the thoughts just go whizzing by us. We may think, what's that guy doing over there? Why is that person doing this? Why is that lady walking funny like that? Who's yelling at the... We have these random thoughts that really are unnecessary with the judgmental thoughts. So the program is to discipline our thinking. Why are we thinking this? And if the thought is not loving, uplifting, or healthy, get it out of your mind. Take it off. And there's a program. I didn't have this tool back in 1983 when I went through the program. I had to use willpower to overcome these thoughts and these unhealthy feelings. And then in 2012, I was given this tool to remove fears from your body, fears and unhealthy thoughts instantaneously, like deleting a picture off your phone. Very simple to delete a picture off your phone, isn't it? You just look at the phone, you hit delete, and it's gone. Same thing can be done to feelings, to fears and unhealthy feelings that you are that haunt you. These feelings are parasites, and they're living off of you. And the intention of these fears is to prevent you from becoming a co-creator God. When the conscious mind can only hold one thought at a time. So if you're thinking about, you're ready to create something, a new business, but then you have this fear of, boy, what if I'm not successful? What if I don't make enough money? What if people don't like me? What if I hurt someone's feelings? You have these feelings holding back your creativity. And that's the purpose of these parasital fears, is to hold you back from becoming a highly developed, spiritual, productive individual. So, God, I get off the track. So what was your question?
I guess I was asking, how do we deepen the connection with God or our higher self?
And so what it is you this 28-day program, you don't constantly look at it. When your attention is brought to the ring, you look at it and you go, what am I thinking about? And if it's an unhealthy feeling or thought, you get rid of it. And you're always supposed to be in a loving, uplifting, positive mode of mind. And you just start conditioning your thinking to be this type of individual.
How does the developing of, spiritual consciousness work when we're born to, as we grow? And how does, the parenting kind of has a play in enforcing a thought of fear as a child or as we grow?
Okay. When we first come here and we're first learning I don't know if you're familiar with the Bible.
Yes.
Adam and Eve. Okay.
The basics.
So when they got kicked out of paradise, what was their first thought? They were naked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that was an indication they had a conscious mind. Before that, they were still naked, but it wasn't an awareness or a discernment in their mind. So when we come here for the first time and we receive a conscious mind, we have no recollection of what happened to us previously. So we're in this survival mode. We don't have any wisdom that we developed, the conscious mind is the purpose of the conscious mind is to verify truth. What's true? If something is true, then it goes into our subconscious mind. 2 plus 2 is 4. Goes into our subconscious mind. 2 plus 5 is 12. No, so we don't file that. So the only thing that goes into our subconscious mind is something that we believe is to be a truth. And sometimes we put a truth in our subconscious mind that's not true. Like that we used to be taught that the earth was the center of the universe. And if you didn't believe this, it was a mortal sin by the Catholic Church back in the 1800s. And people would have this fear of a sin on their soul, and they would die and wouldn't go to heaven. And so they had to believe this was a truth, which now we know it's not a truth. So there's many things we're taught that is true that's not true. All right?
Right.
We have to review it. So the conscious mind, you can fool the conscious mind into believing something is true when it's really not true. So we have fears that we have to remove that are not true. We can talk about that. But when we first come here, we're in survival mode. And so it's like a consciousness of me. I need to eat. I need to satisfy this feeling. We don't have we haven't developed any basis to believe that there's God or there's a right or a wrong or cause and effect or any of the universal laws. It's through our first stages of coming here that through our actions do we learn about cause and effect, do unto others what's done unto you, and so forth. So we don't have the basis. So basically there's 3 stages of soul development. And the first stage is ego, me. We abuse others. We want power. We want greed. We want to be famous. We want to be recognized. We want the best at the expense of others. We don't care. It's like, it's me. And we can see that, well, not pointing any fingers in the world, but we can see out there that there's many souls that are in this early stage of soul development where they have no regard to anybody else, just themselves, at other people's expense. And then as the soul starts evolving and karma comes in, where they know when they slap someone slaps them back almost immediately. Then they come to realize that there's karma, cause and effect. So then they start thinking about, and slowly they develop into a spiritual man sort of consciousness. And they start taking care of responsibilities for family, self, others, community. They become aware that there's more to life than just me. And their soul is opening up to the vibration of love and feeling good and getting that good feeling from helping others instead of that feeling of taking advantage of others. So now their soul is opening up to the vibration of love and appreciation. And then the soul starts vibrating into a higher frequency, and they come into the co-creator God frequency where they're ready to accept the possibility that they're co-creator gods. They know that they're creating, they can create. They know that they can influence others by love and so forth. So they develop this consciousness already of being loving, appreciation, consideration, helping others, and so forth. And so it's just evolves into more of a love. The person develops more of a spiritual love, not only for life, but for themselves.
Okay. You said that was ego.
Getting rid of that ego, yeah. That is
as far as one of the parts of developing, yeah. or
Yeah,
development?
that is one of the major parts of development. But see, in this spiritual training school, and we tell you that there's parasites that will try to keep you from developing spiritually, the fears and so forth. But, Archangel Lucifer, the devil, he is working for God, okay? He's an archangel, and he's programmed to stop us, to tempt us from, in any way he can, from making sure that when we evolve into a co-creator God and we're ready to ascend and graduate from this earth training school, that we passed all his tests. So Lucifer, even though he'll tempt you with all these other things, no one can force you to do anything. It's your choice whether you abuse someone else, or whether you take drugs, or whether you want power, or whether you want to have sexual satisfaction. No one's got a gun to your head. It's your choice. Right. Sometimes people put a gun to your head, but most of the times it's your choice what action you take. And so Lucifer's role is to make sure that we have evolved beyond temptations and pleasing the flesh, basically the flesh, because we're ready to go into another. When we go to the Ascension program, we move out of the body into a spiritual body, more of it's like ice going into water. You move from one dimension of ice into another dimension, more lucid like water, before you move to the steam. So that's the purpose of Lucifer in this training class.
Okay. Speaking of leaving the body, when did you first experience astral traveling?
Well, there's a difference between astral travel and an out-of-body experience. Okay. When I first started to meditate back in 1972, I didn't know anything about chakras or energy body. I just knew that I wanted to meditate. I had a spiritual reading with this spiritual teacher lady, and she gave me a reading. And when she got done with the reading, and she told me everything about my life, I mean, it's like I was crying. And she says, you can ask me one question, and about a car, a house, anything in your life. And I says, how do you do what you do? And she says, you just meditate. She says, if you meditate, you can do what I do. So I went home that day and I started to meditate. And I didn't know how to meditate or anything like that. So when I first started to meditate, I was guided in my meditations. The first thing I was doing, I was seeing all these negative thoughts, all these sexual thoughts of Jesus on the cross, naked, and my teachers told me, just endure it, just go through it. So I just sat there and watched all these negative thoughts. And what I was doing is, I didn't know I was releasing all the negativity in my thought process. So once that happened, I start experiencing colors in my meditations. Beautiful colors that you couldn't see on Earth. Beautiful blues and greens and purples. And little by little, I didn't realize I was opening up my chakras, my root chakras. Then I would have, I don't know if you're aware of chakras.
Yes.
Are you aware? Okay. Uh-huh. So I went from my root chakra to my second chakra, which was your sensual feelings. And I'd be sitting there in meditation. I started having these sensual feelings, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, what's this? I'm not thinking of anything sexual. Why am I getting these feelings in my body? And I just thought, my teacher said, just endure it, just go through it. And I didn't even know what a chakra was. I didn't know that was my second chakra. And then a little later, I started getting pulsations in my solar plex area, which is your third chakra. And so I start thinking, at first I thought it was my heart. Then I says, no, it's below my heart. And it'll be this pulsating. And it's almost like if I looked at my body would be going as if I had something inside my body projecting out from my solar plex area. So that went on for a little while. And then what it migrated into, when it got up to my heart chakra, there was an energy that came up through my left hand. And now, I learned to say the prayer of protection. A prayer, I wanted something when I went into meditation that I knew that I would be safe in meditation, that there would be no negative forces coming in, affecting me, and so forth. So I was given the prayer of protection. And when I say this prayer, I know that whatever happens to me is divine guidance. So I said, whenever these things were happening to me, I just knew that, okay, this is part of my development, and just to relax and enjoy it. Not enjoy it, but just be aware of it and see what happens. But enjoy it. And so all of a sudden, there was an energy force coming through the palm of my left hand, moving up my arm. Now, I've got this pulsation in my solar plex and this energy moving up my arm. And then I start to hear this roar in my right ear, like a tornado or a train roaring. And so the energy's moving up my arm. I got this noise in my ear. I got the pulsation in my solar plex. And now I start taking on a rhythmic breathing without my control. I'm just sitting there observing everything. And I start breathing on. I go into this breath and I'm just observing what's happening. The energy hit the cavity of my body. And when it hit the cavity of my body with the breathing, the pulsation in my solar plex area, and then the train whistle or the roar of the train or the tornado in my ear, all of a sudden in my mind's eye, you meditate with your eyes closed. Right. In my mind's eye was a brilliant white light. It's like white phosphorus. That's I say white phosphorus because that's the brightest thing I've witnessed in my whole life when I was in the service was white phosphorus. Brilliant white light. And so it was so bright, my eyes are still closed, and I start trying to get this light out of my mind. It's so brilliantly bright. And all of a sudden, I start spiraling out of my body. And I spiraled out, left my body. And at the time, I was in Southern Maryland, and I was living on the Chesapeake Bay. And I was over the Chesapeake Bay, and I'm thinking, okay, the first thought that came to my mind when I left my body was, I'm consciousness. All I am is consciousness. And so then I didn't know where I was going or anything like that. So I just sent out a thought to my teacher saying, please return me to my body. Well, as soon as I finished the thought, I started de-spiraling back into my body. So that was an out-of-body experience. I haven't had one since then. Now, when I was in Peru, and in Peru, you drink a shaman drink called the ayahuasca. Mm-hmm. Ayahuasca when you drink the ayahuasca, each time you go to Peru, I went to Peru 5 times, and each time you go to Peru, you drink the ayahuasca 4 times in a 10-day period. And then there's another drink you drink called the wachumi, which is another, I think it's a cactus drink. I'm not too sure. But it's a shaman drink. And I spent an additional 20 days in Peru to travel the spiritual sites in Peru. And during that 20 days, we were drinking this wachumi, which opens up your feeling body so that you you feel more sensations to people, to nature, and things like that. Well, I was in this, I think it was Chavin, the spiritual city of Chavin, and I got up one night, and we drank Wachumi that day, and I got up at 11:20 to go to the bathroom. And I came back and laid down. As soon as I laid down, I got up out of my astral body, got up out of my physical body. And I start walking away, touching things on the table, saying, I'm actually out of my body. I took 5 steps, and I was in another world. I was in another world where I met this lady. This lady came and greeted me. And I can't remember her name, but she did tell me her name. And she greeted me. And 2 other ladies came up, and all 3 of them said, we knew you were going to come before the end of the month. Well, this was January 24th of, I think, 2004. And I thought, okay. So they start walking me around and showing me things of, they were dressed like the 1890s clothes, and there was some man on stage preaching to the people. And there was another man there that said that he was in communications with the ants, and the ants were telling him to do something. And I'm just observing all this, like how strange it was. And they told me that the place was where the sun shines before the dawn. That was the name of the place where we were at. So then they start taking me around. Now, as they start taking me around and explaining things to me, I started to lose consciousness of what they were saying, but I was still aware of what was being said. I even saw, it was kind of funny because my wife that was in bed next to me, I saw her on this world, which I thought was kind of strange that here she is on Earth and now she's in this world too, which kind of meant that, are we multidimensional? I don't know. So they told me that I should be eating the diet of fish and bananas, which I didn't know what it was. They said you should be eating fish and bananas. And I thought, okay. They told me a few things about my personal life. And then we start walking. And as we walk, strange things were happening. And I was losing focus. The next thing I knew, I was back in my bed. And so as soon as I came back in my bed, my wife then, she's pretty intuitive. She says, you're back. I says, yeah. I says, how do you know I left? She says, I knew you left. I says, okay. I just came back in my body. My body was already there, but she knew I wasn't in my body. So the next day I was at breakfast with the shaman, who was an American from Tennessee, and he moved to Peru to study. He was a botanist, and he moved to Peru to study the bugs, the flowers, and then he got into shamanisms and the drink and the ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is based on plant medicine and roots and so forth. And his name was Howard, and we became great friends. And I said, Howard, I sort of went out of my body last night, and I took this trip, and I said, they told me to eat bananas and fish. And he looked at me and he says, bananas and fish is the ayahuasca diet. And I guess what that was is that was a message into him that I actually took the journey, because I didn't know bananas and fish was the ayahuasca diet. And I think that was probably just a message from that world to me to let me know that I was actually there for confirmation, and it wasn't just, some far-fetched thing and so forth. But that's the only time I had an out-of-body experience and an astral travel. And I think I had to experience that as part of my training to share the teachings of the Golden Ones and what is what their teachings are, and so forth.
Yeah, I hear the whole ayahuasca experience can be kind of rough. What are some of the tips you can give to people that are looking to travel to Peru to have? She's been to Peru actually before.
Yeah, I went, did the 4-day trek to Machu Picchu in 2010.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah.
I stayed at Machu Picchu. I went to Machu Picchu 3 times.
Oh, wow.
I went to Egypt back in 1990, and I had a chance to spend the night in the pyramid for $500. And I wanted to, but I didn't want to. I was a little concerned about spending the night alone in the pyramid because I heard some things about the pyramid. So when I got to Machu Picchu for my second or third time, it was my second time. I spent the night there. At 5 o'clock, they move you all out and say, okay, the park's closing. Because during the daytime, the temperature is about 90 degrees. At nighttime, it's freezing. So I decided to stay behind and observe what went on in Machu Picchu after dark. And I wasn't the only one. There's probably a few other people that spent the night too, but I didn't stay with them initially. Got so cold, I had to find a place to spend the night. And when I found this place around 11 o'clock at night. I had not a vision, it was like a hologram. All the planets have a symbol for the planets. And what I saw at 11 o'clock was this hologram. It was like, I'd say maybe 6 feet tall and maybe 3 feet wide, maybe 6 feet wide. It was like a perfect circle, and it had a cross in the middle of it. And I didn't know what it was, and it was a white, and you could see through it. What I later found out was that is the symbol for Earth, a circle and a cross in it. And I thought, I didn't realize that was it until I went to the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., and I saw the symbol for the Earth, and I got, that's what it was. So I don't know if there's supposed to be like UFO sightings at Machu Picchu at nighttime. So I didn't know if that was like a marker to say this is where you land or anything like that. But I thought that was kind of usual. But Machu Picchu, beautiful place. Beautiful place.
Yeah.
I didn't know you can spend the night there.
You can.
Oh, yeah.
You can. It was so cold there. Excuse me. It was so cold there. I met up with about 5 or 6 other people, and they were freezing. And so there's a shrine to, I guess, the Mother God, a cave-like area that is like protected, you can't go into. And so I says, all right, let's go into the cave and let's stay warm. And they said, oh no, we can't go in there. It would be, the Blessed Mother wouldn't like that. I says, listen, the Blessed Mother would like her children to be warm. Let's go in there and cuddle up and stay warm, which we did. We did that for a couple of hours until we heard the guards come at sunrise with their whistles or something. And then we got out of the cave there because it wasn't, you weren't supposed to be in there with the, I don't know, what did they call it? The altar of the Blessed Mother or something like that. But I thought it was okay to go in there and to stay warm. So ayahuasca. The ayahuasca is the most spiritual thing I have ever happened to me. And many teachings in the ayahuasca. In fact, most of the teachings from the golden ones came through the drinking of the ayahuasca. A lot of things were explained. For example, like I mentioned about your light body, I had one vision in 2003. Tara, would you plug in my computer on my battery's running low, please?
We're still here.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Actually, we're going to do the same.
All right.
Good call.
I forgot I unplugged my computer.
Yeah, we're just realizing ours is not plugged in and we have 10%. So it was a good call.
Synchronicity.
Exactly.
All right, we can continue.
Okay, so in what happens, the ceremonies for the ayahuasca, they start at nighttime. They start between 8 and 9 o'clock. And in Peru, where I was at, the shamans, there's 2 shamans, they only take 16 people because that's all they could control. I won't say control, but basically had control. Yeah, I'll say control. Yeah. And so you go up you get there and you make the ayahuasca. You go out with the shaman and he tells you what plants, what roots to get. You come back, you chop them up, and then he spends the day cooking it, and then a day later you drink it. It is the most awful tasting thing you'd ever want to taste. It's like oily dirt, and you can't sip it. You got to they only give you maybe about that much, but you just gotta, the shaman will look at you and say, give him that much, or give him this much, or give him that much. And you just have to take it and just down it, like whiskey, and don't even let it touch your taste bud if you can help it. Most awful tasting drink you ever wanted to taste. Well, once you drink it, you go up one by one in the ceremony. It starts about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And you have to wear white. You're sitting in rocking chairs and with a bucket in front of you in case you get ill, which a lot of people do. And then you go up one by one, you take the drink, and then you go back and sit down. 20 minutes later, you can see the effects of the ayahuasca taking place in each person, the first person, the second person, third person. So you know that it's coming to you when the time comes. And you spiral. You sort of like spiral out in your mind. I won't say you leave your body, but your mind goes someplace. And you start revisiting things in your past life. And usually it's a healing process, like you're talking to your mom, you're with your mom, you don't know what you're saying, but you're like clearing up unfinished business and so forth. Well, after that is the dreadful part. Then you may experience some sensations in the body that aren't pleasant. That's basically a healing process. And then maybe 2-3 hours later, when that process is over with, then you get visions. You get like teaching visions that enlighten you to what's going on in life. If you had any questions before you went to Peru, they answer your questions. Now, how they answer your questions is in your mind. Your mind lights up like a television set. And they show you things like, I'm looking at you right now, and you're looking at me, crystal clear in your mind of things they want to show you. I mean, it's like, you know, I don't know how they do it. It's almost like they got a movie camera and producers and events creating this out of what, I don't know, but it's like crystal clear. That's where I found out the teachings that when I first got there, my first drink, and I had some questions about, was Earth a prison, or did we come to Earth by a choice? And so what they showed me is I was sitting in front of the universe, and all the stars were in front of me, and I'm sitting in this royal throne, and I got a scepter in my left hand, and I got this rod in my right hand. I'm dressed in royal garbs, and the finger of God comes across my vision points to little dim light in the corner, and it's a choice, which meant that I chose to come to Earth. But it showed me that I could only come to Earth because of the position I achieved and where I came from. So that's how I know that you have to evolve to the next level of where you were in your star nation to come to Earth. You just can't say, oh, I want to go to Earth and train to be a co-creator God. No, you've got to achieve a high place of respect from where you came from. So that's what it showed me. Yeah, that was part of the first vision. But the ayahuasca, then later on, they showed me about the light body. And they showed me a body, like an outline of a person, and it had all these beautiful golden filaments going through the body to make up the outline of the body, and rimmed in gold. And then there would be globs of gummy substance on these filaments, here, and here. And these globs were fears. And the fears in these globs were preventing the light body from vibrating, like on a guitar. If you hit a guitar, and instead of being ding, it would be dong, and so forth. So that's why the fears have to come off your light body so that you resonate at a higher frequency and you vibrate. And when you vibrate at a higher frequency, you attract what it is you want to create in your life, your manifestations. So if you want a business and your light body's clean and you got a good vision and you're doing it for the right reason, the manifestations will come a lot quicker than someone that says, I think I want to do this. I don't know if I'm good enough or something like that. That's the universe knows that you're here training as co-creator gods. God doesn't fear or God doesn't doubt his creations. He says, let there be light. So when someone wants to manifest something and they have doubts or fears, the universe is not going to allow that manifestation to materialize unless there's a lesson to learn in the materialization of that creation. All right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This universe, you work with it. Your conscious mind works with your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind works with universal mind, bringing in your manifestations. And if there's any doubt in your creation from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind, your creation isn't going to manifest, all right? Unless there's a karma lesson to learn through the manifestation, all right? So that was one of the major things I learned about the healing process and removing fears off the light body, which is a very simple process to do.
Thank you for sharing that experience.
Yeah. You mentioned about spending the night in a pyramid, and we've always wanted to go to Egypt. We haven't been yet. We do a lot of research. Yeah. What is that like? And I've also read on your website that you've been visited by Thoth, and that's someone we've researched a lot. So I want to know a little bit more about that.
Well, when I went to Peru, the pyramids in 1990. Barbara Marciniak of the Palladians. I don't know if you know of Barbara Marciniak or not, but she's okay. She's a channel for the Palladians, and the Palladians are the seventh sister, star nation, and so she somehow I hooked up with her. I was doing meditation back in the 89 and 90s out of my home. And a group of my students got into Barbara Marciniak. And so they said, well, we're going to Egypt and so forth. And I said, oh, okay, all right. So for 2 weeks, we went to Egypt and we experienced the pyramids. We got to go, Barbara Marciniak had, back in those days, you could do things that you can't do now. We climbed the pyramids. We actually climbed the pyramids at 3:30 in the morning. There's 33 of us. We climbed at 33 at 3:30 in the morning, 33 of us climbed the pyramid, and we meditated on the top of the pyramid at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was just an experience. And then during the time there, we got our own time in the pyramid to lay in the sarcophagus in the Queen's chapter, in the Queen's room, chamber, the Queen's chamber, the King's chamber, and then the Queen's chamber, and so forth. And that was pretty interesting. And I've always read about things happening in the pyramids at nighttime. And I kind of wanted to do it. And the $500 wasn't a big deal. I think it was actually, at the time, I was a little hesitant about doing that by myself in the pyramid and what might happen. Do I wish I did it? Yeah, I probably do wish I did it now. But that was okay. The pyramids, very interesting. How they were built and the size of the stones and how they fit together. They would cut these big stones by the corner and nudge them in there. It was just pretty interesting to see the construction of the pyramid and so forth. That was interesting. Very, very interesting. And then what was the other thing that
I was talking about Thoth. When I was looking through your site, said you had several visitations, and one of them was Thoth, and that's someone that we're interested in. So I just wanted to know a little
Thoth?
bit more. Thoth, yes.
Thoth. Well, what happened was I told you about the vision of the light body during the ayahuasca, where the light body had these clumps of gummy substance on it. So I'm in a spiritual conference in Sydney, Australia in 2012, January of 2012. And my wife at the time was doing the spiritual retreat there. And so Thoth came through her, and he gave us the prayer. It was the prayer to remove, he called it, I forget what he called it. He called it a healing prayer. And where you place your hands on your body, you say these words, and the fears automatically comes off your body. I've done this around the world, and it happens instantaneously. It takes like 10 seconds to remove a fear. So I took the prayer, and I remembered what I learned from the light body, and that these gummy substance were the fears on the light body. And I thought, wow, this is kind of interesting. And I took it back home, and I started working with the energy of what Thoth told us. In fact, what I did is I have the book, The Emerald Tablets by Thoth. And if I don't know if you've read that or not,
Yeah,
it's sort of like very difficult reading, The Emerald Tablets.
Yeah.
And he talks about it. So when I pulled out the book, I started reading it, and he was explaining to me what he was saying in the book, where I could understand what he was saying. I thought, wow, this is kind of neat. Now, I'm in upstate New York by myself, and I'm reading his book, and I'm working with the energy of the healing process. And that's when our Archerians visited me, not in form, but in my consciousness, to tell me that fears are parasites. Archerians are seventh dimension beings who are masters of emotions. And what they were explaining to me is a fear is a parasite, emotional parasite, that is on your light body, and it prevents you from excelling in who you are as a spiritual being and in your journey to become a co-creator God. And I thought, wow, this is kind of interesting, because what it actually does is, as a parasite, It interferes with your thinking. So in other words, it stops you from becoming, from vibrating at a higher frequency, from becoming who it is you're designed to become. All right, all fears do this, and it's strange. It's not strange. We can talk about how you create a fear and how it gets onto your light body. So the Archerians were telling me about that they're emotional parasites, and they will actually interfere with your thinking or take over your thinking. So in other words, if I'm working with someone and I'll say, do you have any fears? And they'll say, yeah, I'm afraid of heights. And I'll say, oh, would you like to get rid of it? And they'll say, no, I don't want to get rid of it. I says, why? They'll say, well, fears are good. Fears are good. It's good to have fears. It stops you from doing something crazy. And I thought, oh, okay. So I know that the parasite is interfering with the thinking of the individual. When I talk to certain individuals like that, I with my children, with my students here, the ones that are 12 and 13 and 14 years old, I'll talk to them, and I do astrology charts with them, and I'll read them their astrology charts, and I'll see that they have a lack of confidence and so forth or something. I'll look through and I'll see if they have anything that is fearful or holds them back from developing who they are. Or I'll ask them, do you have any fears? And they'll usually I have good conversations with my students. They open up to me. They'll say, yeah, and they'll tell me, and I'll say, would you like to get rid of it? They go, yeah. And I'll show them, gone. Instantaneously, they're removed. And so the student, it's good for me because I establish a rapport with them and they trust me, and I want to help these kids out. So I know that there's people, I do have older people in my class that are afraid of snakes. And I'll say, do you want to get rid of it? And they'll go, no, I don't even want to think about the snake.
Because they don't want to face that fear.
It's fear. It holds them in. They don't realize that they are, they're here to become co-creator gods, and the fact that they're a goddess in training or a god in training, a very difficult concept for for anybody to accept. But when my work is to enlighten people, if you don't want to understand what I'm saying or grasp it, like I'll tell you how to keep your body healthy. If you want to get ill and you won't take the formula of baking soda and lemon juice, I can't do anything for you. I can tell you how to get rid of fears off your light body. Very simple process. How to protect you from unhealthy entities that are roaming around. There's at death. What happens at death is you have like 3 days to reconcile your death before you move on to the next level of soul development. And death is like you want to migrate from a learning experience as a man to now you need to change into a learning experience of a female gender, or you need a death now and you're ready to experience the culture from China to a culture in Mongolia. So death is used as a means of like changing your learning and your training here on Earth. Sometimes you have free will. So sometimes at a time of death, you can't reconcile moving on. You love your spouse or your children so much that you miss the opportunity to move forward. But once you miss that opportunity, you are trapped here on Earth. You're some people call it earthbound. I call it you're a trapped soul. All right. You then are here, and what you do is the soul does, it migrates from situations, or it'll take housing up in a I won't say a haunted house, but an old building that's their home and so forth. And that's where people say, oh, that building's haunted and such and such. But it just means that there's a trapped soul there that doesn't realize they're trapped. They have no concept of time. They don't know how long they've been there. They're just there. Well, I didn't believe in this back in the 80s. I told my teachers, I don't believe that an entity can attach to you and so forth. And so I'm out walking one day. I used to take walks at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch black in the country, and that would be my meditation walk. So one day I'm walking, and all of a sudden I get this strange feeling like someone is standing right behind me. Now this is 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch black, no lights, and it's like I can hear anything. It's like, what? Who's behind me? And I turn around, no one's there. So I kind of just shrugged it off. I go home, and I finish my day. And the next day, I'm getting ready to go to bed, and my wife comes in, and she says, I think we have a situation. I says, what do you mean? She says, well, our youngest one, when he goes in the bathroom, when he looks in the mirror, he thinks he's going to see someone standing behind him. I went, oh, no. I says, okay, I know what happened. So I brought this entity home in my house, and now he's attached to my son. And this happens because this entity knew that I would help him move to the next level of soul development. I didn't know it, but he knew it. So I get my son up in my green room, which was my meditation healing room, and I sit him down and I says, I'm going to say this prayer. I don't know whether it's going to work or not, but I use it in my meditations. So let's just see what happens. So I said the prayer of protection. And when I got through, I didn't even ask him. He says, it's gone. I says, what do you mean it's gone? He says, well, when you were saying the prayer, he says, I was getting dizzy, and I could feel this thing moving up out of me, up out of my head, going up. I says, oh, okay. He says, can I go to bed now? I said, yeah, go to bed now. And so I was given this prayer of protection that would assist souls to move to the next level of spiritual development. I have used that prayer. I use it every day here because people come in here, parents come in here, they with their students, and they bring entities in here. I know that. And I use it to clear my living space every day from entities. So it's a prayer protection, which is essential to keep negative energy off your light body. Even if you go out and you may say, oh, this, I don't believe in this and such and such. I'm telling you, even I know this happens. It fools me when they attach to me. I don't realize they attach to me because they just do. Some of my students bring them in. They tell me that, they have a feeling something's behind them or something's keeping them awake at night. I just do this prayer and they sleep fine. They don't have any problems anymore. So the prayer of protection, very essential for your spiritual development. It's like keep your body healthy, clean your light body, protect you from any negative energy, and then in tune to the frequency in your mind. Those are the 4 essential steps for the age of the golden age and to avoid death. You don't have to die. You don't have to die.
Can you enlighten us on, I'm sorry. Can you enlighten us on your view of dreams?
Well, dreams, angels will, I haven't used them recently. I should say I have used them recently. In the past, I haven't used them recently. Angels will assist you in your dreams by giving you numbers. Angels use numbers to communicate with you. like last night, I haven't had a chance to look, but there was a number 10 in my dream. And it shows up with just a number. And it's like something said, I need 10 more colors of paint on this house. And then 10 more colors. And I woke up and I go, 10. Okay, I have to look up the number 10. There's a website that tells you if you have a number, what the angels are, their messages the angels want to give you with that number. So recently, if I want something, to understand something, I'll ask the angels for a dream. And they'll give me a number in a dream. Other times, I have dreams where I have visitations in my dreams. I haven't had visitations in my dreams in a long time, but what I have had is that your body is a physical computer. And periodically, my body will go through some sort of, I call it a software upgrade, where I feel during the sleep, I feel energy flowing through my body. And I just assume that it's a software upgrade in my body. You get them in your meditations. If you meditate all the time, I used to get them in my meditations. But the time I meditate now is when I do my yoga in the morning, and I'm not sitting still, moving around. So I don't get the software upgrades like I used to. So I get them in my sleep periodically, not too often though. But dreams is a means of just assisting the consciousness to figure something out. A lot of times when my teachers want to get me up at a certain time, they'll give me a frustrating dream where I can't figure it out in my dream. It's like, no, this isn't working. Then I wake up and I go, okay, there's something I need to check my emails or check my mail or something like that. That's how they wake me up, by giving me a frustrating dream where I can't figure something out or something like that. But usually, in my past, I've had visitations in my dreams with, I call them the Lords of Amente. The Lords of Amente are the inner earth teachers. And I've had maybe a half dozen visits from them, where sometimes it's a voice and a message, and sometimes it's a visitation. But then they're like, it's beyond dreams. It's like, you actually had this experience with these entities. I mean, it's like watching TV, watching yourself on a TV screen, going through and doing something, and they give you a message, part of your training.
I noticed you have crystals in your hand, and so do we. What are your views on crystals, and what are some of the crystals that you work with, even when you're doing Reiki?
Well, when I was in New Zealand, I was told that I was a member of the Galactic Council, and the Galactic Council wanted to keep track of me. And so they told me to go out and find a stone. There was a stone out there that I was supposed to find. And based on that stone, once I got it, they could keep track of me. So this stone is from New Zealand. And I kind of thought, well, this is kind of crazy. So I have this stone. I've always kept it with me. I got this stone back in maybe 2010. And so one day I was playing with it, and I'm saying, how do I know this stone really works? And so forth. And they said, go downstairs, and the stone, where it is, it's pointing due east. The point that's on the stone is pointing due east. So I said, that's crazy. So I went downstairs and I put the compass on the stone, and the point was pointing due east. I said, okay. They convinced me to hold on to the stone. The other stone is multivite. It's a meteor stone, and it's just for connections with the other realms of creation outside of the earth realm, multivite. So
I heard multivite is pretty strong.
Yeah. So, and then, I have stones here on my fingers. 2 are rubies. If you have rubies, it means wealth. You'll have money. So I give, sometimes I give gifts away of ruby rings to people. So in case they have like a fear they're not going to have any money in the future, I'll say, oh, here's a ruby ring. With a ruby ring, you'll always have wealth. So it just kind of clears up their consciousness to thinking that to eliminate that fear. And then jade in China, green jade is a stone. And then a lapis lazuli. It's a spiritual stone. I've always had lapis in my life. And tanzanite. Now, just attracted to tanzanite. It's a deep blue stone and so forth. Yeah. So as much as possible, I attempt to bring, I've got behind me, I don't know if you can see all those globes of crystals behind me or not.
Yeah, we can see the colors.
Quite a few collections of globes and so forth. Crystals and such, moonstones. Well, if in a computer, there's always a crystal in your computer for communications. They put gold in your computer because gold has no frequency resistance. In fact, in the spaceships, all the wiring in a spaceship is out of gold. Because gold has no frequency resistance as far as communications go. There's no loss of frequency. So they put gold, there's a little gold in the computer along with a crystal for communications. And in a laser, they use a ruby. So crystals are used in society to enhance communications, health, and so forth. There's a lot of things they don't tell us. Like the pharmaceutical companies know that baking soda and lemon juice will eliminate all diseases in the body. Do they tell you that? No. They want you to be sick. They don't care whether you're sick or not. They want to sell you something. Yeah. So you can stay healthy. I've been using the baking soda and lemon juice for 4 years now, and not even a common cold. Nothing. I just take it as a preventive medicine before I go to bed. I drink of lemon juice and baking soda just to keep the alkalinity in the body high, to ward off any diseases and so forth. So coronavirus, cancer, brain tumors, get them out of your mind. Drink, check your alkalinity in your body, your pH level. And pH means potential hydrogen. Water, H2O, is hydrogen. When you drink water, the hydrogen is converted to an alkalinity. So if you drink plenty of water, it helps to keep your alkalinity in the body up, and water does a lot of other miraculous things in the body. But water is very good for the body, and it helps with the alkalinity. And if you feel something's coming on, baking soda and lemon juice, 10 ounces of water, it will pick you right up. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
We like apple cider vinegar as well. Apple cider vinegar and lemon. That's kind of been one of the things. But thank you for sharing the.
Lemon is better than apple cider vinegar and baking soda. Okay. Health wise, I don't know what. I used to do the apple cider vinegar. I do that with my teeth in baking soda. But as far as drinking, it's hard to drink that apple cider vinegar.
Well, it's just
lemon
a little teaspoon, and lemon. We do a little honey as well, make it hot.
Yeah, lemon and honey makes it
with a frozen strawberry, make it appealing. I guess tasty, but the same here. We haven't been sick in years. It's
good.
Over
good.
5-6 years. Yeah.
Good.
And I appreciate you sharing the story with the crystals, because he was laughing because that's we found all of the crystals that we have. I don't
listen to that voice.
Yeah. We kind of just found it. I've never heard of barite crystals, and we walking around and finding a lot of it, and it's helped us tremendously. And rose quartz and tourmaline in certain places.
I think they also have barite in China as well. Yeah. It can be found there.
Yeah, rose quartz great for love energy.
Yeah,
rose quartz.
Yeah, we've had the experience of going to a mine to look for rose quartz.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Like all the crystals we have, we actually found it ourselves on the ground, and we cleaned it and all of that stuff. It's pretty personal.
Oh my goodness, very good.
Yeah.
But before we get ready to close out, we definitely would like to apologize again for the schedule mix-up, and thank you for the patience and energy for working with us still.
And bringing the teachings of the golden ones. We really appreciate all the knowledge.
Yes.
Now, before you close, do you have any fears that you would like to get rid of immediately?
I don't want to ask you for a ruby, but that's taken care of, later. I can't say, I can't really say that we can have any fears. The podcast has been going pretty good. My mom and my dad just had their 70th birthday. My birthday. I turned 39 on the 19th of this month. My brother's coming to visit. My sister-in-law is here. The success of the podcast is unknown, but it is promised. So I can't say that there's a fear that is involved with it, but it's the newest thing that we have going on in our life. So it's something that we're growing with and turning it into, a prosperous journey.
Good. Be positive. Yes.
I just don't want to have fear about the success of the podcast.
We try
that's mostly that.
Yeah, we try not to have fears. I know, that's one of the things I try to overcome, most of the fears that I've had throughout my life.
We swim in the ocean as well, so that helps just peel off, fear. There's nothing that's
salt water will do that.
Yeah, and wondering what else is out here with us while we're swimming.
You'll be protected.
Oh yeah,
you'll be protected.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I interrupted, but
no, I just couldn't think of a fear really, because I know that's something that is a blocker from ascension. So we try not to have too much.
Yeah, we've been through a couple of things together, so it's always worked out. We've learned to even just listen, like, hey, step back 2 steps, look to the right, under here, I'm here, pick me up. So we've learned to listen. So that's something that's just,
Well, that's part of your ascension, your spiritual growth. Yeah. Listening and paying attention.
Yes. And just being fearless, trying to pursue life with the fearless, consistent self-improvement, and,
I guess one of the fears that I do have that I can think of is just you mentioned throughout this whole conversation, like we're here in Earth School, we're here for a reason, to learn and progress, and some people might not be aware of that and might not be, going towards what they're supposed to be doing, and even you try to get them to understand, but they don't, and they're close to you. So that's one of the fears, I guess, that I have.
Well, you can't help everyone, so you do your best. You're available. If they don't want to listen, then that's their choice, free will.
Yeah.
So you just have to bless them and you continue walking. You continue walking and don't let that's just where they are. And you have to, part of the goddess in you is accepting people where they are and letting them be. All right. It's difficult sometimes, but you just have to bless them and let them go. I get the same thing here. I have to just bless them and let them go. My family, I've got 7 sisters and 2 brothers.
Wow.
They think I'm crazy. Okay. So I can't convince them.
Yeah. And we're not
my job.
We're not convinced that we are crazy. So
I know.
both have to be happy.
So, yeah.
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 We're different. I have, I'm the youngest of 4, 3 brothers and 1 sister. Yeah. But thank you again. Thank you for your time and consideration again. And we would definitely like to have you on and have another conversation again in the future as well. If you're ever in LA, we would love to, as far as have you in to sit down in person.
I would like to. I don't know if I'll ever go back to the United States or not. I really don't know. It depends. If my teacher said, sell everything, move to LA, I would go. I just wait for their directions, what I'm supposed to do. I don't know why I'm here or anything like that. So, but yes, I would love to be a guest on your show again if you need to be, and we need to discuss things or so forth. Love to do that. Love to share the teachings of the Golden Ones.
Thank you.
And is there anything you'd like to leave our audience with before we close it out, where they can find you or anything you'd like them to know?
Yeah, my website is www.thepath2oneness.com. And it's all the teachings of the Golden Ones. A lot of tools there to help with the consciousness of the soul, meditation techniques, free books, free guidance and everything. And I do free consultations. So if someone goes to the website and they want to talk, they can put in for consultations, and I have a meeting room where we can meet like this, and we can discuss their situation and so forth. Always willing to assist.
Thank you.
So,
thank you again to our listeners for listening. I'm sorry, you wanted to say?
No, okay. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share the teachings of the Golden Ones with you and your audience.
We appreciate
my pleasure.
And that's one of the reasons for making the platform again. I always say I'm here to learn from our guests, and I've learned a lot today, and I really appreciate it. So, thank you again to our guests.
Listeners as well.
Listeners. Thank you again to our guests. Our listeners, which a lot of our guests are our listeners. So we thank everybody who has been on the show that is here in this episode as well. Yes. We thank you as well.
For the podcast, you can find us at AmericanGypC.com. And we also have consistent self-improvement merchandise at luamli.com. And we
also have some music that you can find under Classic Carpenter. That's KLACCIK CARPENTA. And that's on Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, YouTube, and all major platforms. Thank you again for listening. Thank you for your support. Consistent self-improvement and peace.